Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. After announcing a stimulus package, which according to us was completely misleading, and if it ought to be called a stimulus package, then it was grossly inadequate, it was frugal, and it was a missed opportunity, which is not going to deliver the goods, which is not going to achieve the objectives which it ought to. Thus, after this, what we would call a failed stimulus package, the government has lobbied the ball back into the court of the Reserve Bank of India to do all the hard hitting that it can or it ought to do in order to revive, in order to support, in order to stabilize a sagging economy. Interestingly, the Reserve Bank governor in his press meet today, which was his third policy briefing in this regard, did mention that while central banks the world over are known to be conservative, yet when the tide turns, the nations turn towards their central banks to provide whatever relief or measures that are needed. And that seems to be the case with India also. This third policy announcement of the RBI governor comes at a time when it is widely agreed now that Indian economy has entered into a recession. Demand has contracted severely and measures are needed in order to revive the sagging demand so as to revive the state of the economy. The RBI governor said that the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee, preponed its June meeting and it met for 3 days from the 20th to the 22nd of May in order to review the economy, in order to review the present developments and tweak the monetary policy to the extent needed. And thus, the announcements today were the sequel to that meeting of the MPC. What were the key takeaways from the RBI governor's briefing today? The first one, he said that from the emerging macroeconomic data, which is for the months of March and April in particular, it is very clear that there has been an extensive suffering in the economy. There has been an extensive damage across every sector of the economy because of the lockdown due to the corona. He said that India's international trade, both exports and imports, have gone down by about 60% during this period, which is a 30-year low. He said that finished steel consumption has gone down by 91%. Cement consumption, he said, is down by 30%. And demand for electricity and petroleum products and power has witnessed a sharp decline. He said that the service sector is also at an all-time low, and so are the indices of industrial production and PMI, both for the manufacturing and the service sector. He further mentioned pertinently that FY 2021 Indian economy is going to witness a negative growth. He said that as far as the first half of this financial year is concerned, that is till September 2020, the growth is expected to be negative. But in the second half, after September, growth will pick up in a calibrated manner and the economy should see some kind of a revival. Thus, it is only in the second half that you can see some better news on the Indian economic front. Private consumption, he said, has been eroded considerably and demand has come down. And he said that revival of the demand and supply situation in the economy is going to depend on how long the lockdown lasts, how long it takes for the COVID pandemic to pan out. And based on that, will the indicators come? How is the demand and supply going to be revived? He importantly mentioned that the 6 states of the country which contribute to about 60% of India's GDP are all in a red to orange zone, because of which disruption in the economy continues, and of course because of which the restart of the economy remains a huge question mark. On the inflation front, he said that the indicators are confusing and one is not able to predict exactly what is going to be the state of inflation in the coming months. He did mention that inflation is expected to be stable in the first half of the year and it might ease out only later. It is very obvious that based on the trajectory of inflation, we would be able to know whether interest rate pruning is going to happen further or not. The Reserve Bank governor further said that the markets are completely disconnected from the real state of the economy. In other words, the buoyancy that the stock markets show is not real. And the silver lining on the economy that he mentioned was that agriculture production has gone up by 3.7% to a record high, and Rabi crop has been extremely successful, and the Kharif plantation, the sowing for the Kharif crop has gone up by about 40%. Thus, the agri sector was the silver lining in all the announcements on the economic front that he mentioned. He said that he quoted Mahatma Gandhi to say that we may stumble and fall, but we will rise again. And he further said that the Reserve Bank continues to be extremely vigilant. The Reserve Bank, he said, continues to be active, proactive, and anticipative, and it is battle ready. And he says that the Reserve Bank is doing all that it can in order to ensure that the financial and banking system remains sound and stable. So this was the assessment of the Indian economy that the Reserve Bank governor mentioned in his press briefing today. And then he announced the measures, the policy initiatives that the RBI has decided based on the MPC's recommendations. And what were they? The first and the most important announcement today was a further pruning of interest rates by 40 basis points. Inflation has been easing off late, as we see at the ground level, and the Reserve Bank does have leg room in order to prune interest rates, and thus, in a very widely expected move, interest rates have been cut down further. The repo rate of the Reserve Bank has come down to 4% from the earlier rate of 4.4%, and the reverse repo rate, which is the rate at which Reserve Bank takes money from banks, has been cut to 3.25%. The MPC said that it remains accommodative. In other words, depending on how the situation pans out, further measures including pruning of interest rates is likely. So the first one, a 40% cut in interest rates. The second measure that was announced today was that EMIs can be postponed. There'll be a moratorium on EMIs till 31st of August. Thus, the period has been extended by another 3 months, and that was much needed for the simple reason that the lockdown continues, and without any cash flows, how do you expect a borrower to be able to repay the loans? The third measure today was that during this period of the moratorium of 6 months, whatever interest is charged on working capital loan accounts will be converted into what is called a funded loan, and that amount can then be paid by the borrower by the 31st of March 2021. In other words, the working capital loan interest does not need to be serviced till 31st of August, and whatever is the figure, you can then pay it in installments by the 31st of March. Further, he said that in case of any non-payment of an EMI during the moratorium, it will not be considered to be a default, and the status of the borrower is not going to change. Further, looking to the dire strait or the deep fall in the exports and imports from India, he said that pre and post shipment credit, which is given to exporters, the tenure is going to be extended for 15 months, and he also relaxed the period for payment towards imports to 12 months. He said that liberal margins for working capital assessment for giving working capital will continue, and that is of course on the bank's concern. And most importantly, he mentioned that transmission of interest rates, which is when the Reserve Bank cuts interest rates, the banks very often don't pass it on to their borrowers. He said that passing on of interest rate cuts is happening. These were the major measures that he announced today, the most important one of which was interest rate cuts and an extension of the moratorium on your EMI payments. According to us, while the Reserve Bank is being proactive, reactive, and anticipative and accommodative, as the RBI governor says, we still think that much more needs to be done. We are not talking about doing based on the events that will unfold in future. We are talking on the basis of the present scenario. The present scenario is that the borrowers of banks are suffering because of a lockdown. The suffering is deep, the suffering is extensive, and it will take many quarters, if not years, for those borrowers to get out of this crisis. And thus, the first thing that needs to be done is restructure loans. Loans need to be structured across the board so that extra time of a few years is given to borrowers in order to repay their loans. Even after the lockdown is lifted, let's say in the month of June, even when that is done, their position, the financial position of borrowers is not going to improve suddenly and quickly and swiftly. It will take time, and thus time needs to be given to them in order to repay their bank loans. They will not be able to repay all those 6 EMIs in case they have not paid by the 31st of August. And thus, a restructuring of loans needs to be done across the board. The Reserve Bank of India needs to come up with a policy in this regard. The second, it's good that the moratorium has been extended by 3 months, but we think that's not going to be enough. As we said, even if enterprises start functioning in June, they are not going to be in any great position by August. They will need a longer moratorium. We thus think that the Reserve Bank will need to review its stance on the moratorium further. The next one, while the RBI governor does say that transmission of the interest rate cuts is happening, we are noticing that that is not happening to the satisfaction of most borrowers. It is not happening in such a way that we can say that the benefit of interest rate cuts is getting passed on directly and immediately to borrowers. We think that needs to be expedited. Further, the fact is that banks today are lenders to Reserve Bank. Banks have given more than 8.5 lakh crores to Reserve Bank of India and they are not lending. The RBI needs to come up with a policy initiative in order to ensure that banks lend money instead of parking the funds with the RBI. And finally, the Reserve Bank is doing its bit, but the RBI is no substitute for what the government does, needs to do, can do, and must do. And that's where we think the real issue lies. It's good to see the Reserve Bank come up with initiatives, but the real initiatives in terms of fiscal initiatives, the government needing to spend to revive the economy is what is spending. And that is what we are waiting for. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
हमारे घरों में भी बच्चे होते हैं जो हमसे प्यार दुलार की आस करते हैं।
हमारा भी जीवन साथी है जिसको हमारे ड्यूटी से घर आने का इंतजार होता है।
हमारे घर में भी एक बूढ़ी माँ है जिनके लिए आज भी हम ही आंखों के तारे हैं।
लेकिन हम हमारे घरों में नहीं हैं। आपकी सुरक्षा में कोई कसर न रहे, इसलिए हम अपने प्रियजनों से दूर हैं।
हम में से ही कुछ तो अब इतने दूर जा चुके हैं कि वो वापस अपने घरों को लौट भी नहीं पाएंगे।
हमें गर्व है कि हमारे कंधों पे मुंबई शहर के नागरिकों की सुरक्षा की जिम्मेदारी है। हमारे जज्बे और बलिदान को व्यर्थ न जाने दे। इस संकट के समय में आप घर पे रहे, सुरक्षित रहे।
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.